The world woke up to the unthinkable, a scenario previously relegated to the realm of geopolitical thrillers. A silent stillness has fallen upon one of the most crucial arteries of global trade. The Panama Canal, the vital link connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, the linchpin of international shipping, is closed. Its usually bustling waters are now eerily calm, not by the forces of nature, not by some unforeseen accident or catastrophic event, but by a direct and decisive order emanating from the United States government, a move that has sent shockwaves across the globe. The closure is being strictly enforced by the unwavering presence of the U.S. Navy, their warships standing guard at both entrances, effectively sealing off this critical waterway. Overnight, the intricate web of global commerce has been thrown into utter chaos, disrupting supply chains and leaving businesses scrambling to adapt. Ships carrying billions of dollars worth of goods from electronics to essential commodities are now stranded, their journeys abruptly halted. They're forming a seemingly endless queue of floating warehouses, a testament to the canal's vital role in the world's economy. The canal, which normally handles nearly 6% of all global maritime trade, facilitating the movement of goods between continents, is now eerily silent, its locks empty, its waters still. The closure is not a drill, not a temporary pause for maintenance or repairs. It's a full-scale, indefinite shutdown, leaving the world in a state of uncertainty. The official explanation cites a grave and imminent threat to international security, a threat so significant that it warrants such drastic action. The world's long-held assumption of stability, of the smooth and predictable flow of goods and commerce, has been shattered in an instant. This unprecedented event starkly exposes the fragility of the complex systems that power our modern lives, the intricate networks that we often take for granted. The closure is far more than just a logistical nightmare for shipping companies and businesses. It's a geopolitical earthquake, with the potential to reshape alliances and redefine power dynamics. Long-standing treaties are being challenged and re-examined, existing alliances are strained under the weight of suspicion and uncertainty, and fundamental questions of national sovereignty and international security are thrust to the forefront of global debate. While the immediate crisis revolves around the stranded cargo and the disruption to global supply chains, the long-term consequences of this unprecedented closure could fundamentally reshape the landscape of global trade and international politics for decades to come. The world holds its breath, collectively watching and waiting with bated breath, waiting anxiously to see what geopolitical storms or unexpected opportunities will emerge from this crisis. The silent canal, once a symbol of global interconnectedness, now mirrors a world on edge, teetering on the brink of uncertainty. The crisis began, not with a bang, but with a silent intrusion, a digital whisper that quickly escalated into a deafening roar. It started with what appeared to be a sophisticated cyber-physical attack, meticulously planned and flawlessly executed. The target? The very heart of global commerce, the Panama Canal's control systems. The digital infrastructure that keeps this vital waterway functioning. A highly organized, likely state-sponsored hacking group seized command, bypassing layers of security with alarming ease. Their initial objective was control of the canal's locks, the massive gates that regulate the passage of ships. They began manipulating gates and water levels remotely, overriding safety protocols and operating the complex machinery without any human input or oversight. The Stellar Horizon, a massive container ship laden with goods, became an unwitting pawn in this digital game of chess. It was nearly destroyed, caught in a surge of water as the hackers intentionally destabilized the lock. This near catastrophe served as a chilling demonstration of the hackers' power and their willingness to use it. Only the quick and decisive action by the ship's crew, battling against the rogue system, averted a complete disaster and potential loss of life. The hackers, not content with simply demonstrating their capabilities, left a digital calling card, a clear message embedded within the system. It was a stark warning, proving they could sink a ship with ease. They could block the canal, bringing global trade to a standstill. Or, even more terrifying, weaponize hazardous cargo, turning the canal into a floating bomb. The threat was no longer theoretical, confined to the realm of simulations and worst-case scenarios. It was real, active, and utterly terrifying. A clear and present danger to global stability. The White House, in an emergency address, cited this attack as a grave and imminent threat to national security and the global economy. This justification led to the unprecedented decision to shut down the Panama Canal. With the canal itself, now a potential weapon in the hands of a hostile entity, allowing ships to pass through, continuing operations as normal, would be akin to playing Russian roulette with global trade, risking untold economic damage and potential loss of life. The only responsible option, the only course of action that prioritized safety and security, a total closure of the Panama Canal until the threat is neutralized and the system is secured. The world's most critical waterway, the linchpin of global commerce, is now a hostage, held captive in a new kind of conflict, a silent war waged in the digital realm. The stakes could not be higher, the implications more profound. The world watches and waits. The Panama Canal is more than a shortcut. It's the linchpin of global logistics. For over a century it saved ships an 8,000-mile detour around South America. Over 14,000 vessels and 250 million tons of cargo transit each year. Two-thirds of its traffic is tied to U.S. ports, moving grain, goods, and energy. The U.S. military relies on it for rapid deployment between oceans. For Latin America and Asia, it's a lifeline for exports and imports. Panama's economy depends on canal tolls and operations. The closure is a systemic shock, not a local problem. Every rerouted ship adds weeks and millions in costs, straining already fragile supply chains. The impact will be felt worldwide, from higher prices to empty shelves. A single choke point has become a global crisis. The White House responded with unprecedented speed. Within hours, the president invoked treaty rights to defend the canal, deploying the U.S. Navy to enforce the closure. In a televised address, the president called the cyber attack an act of aggression against the world. U.S. Cyber Command and Panamanian authorities are racing to hunt down the attackers and restore control. The move, though legal, stirs old tensions. Panama only gained full control of the canal in 1999. The administration insists this is a temporary defensive measure, not a return to American control. Diplomats scramble to reassure allies and coordinate a global response. Cybersecurity teams are rebuilding the canal systems from the ground up. The message: the canal will not reopen until it is completely secure. The world waits for resolution as history and security collide. For Panama, the sudden and unexpected closure of the canal is nothing short of a national emergency. The waterway is the lifeblood of the nation, a critical artery for global trade, and its abrupt shutdown sends shockwaves through every sector of Panamanian society. The implications are far-reaching and potentially devastating. The government was caught completely blindsided, utterly unprepared for such a catastrophic event. First, the sophisticated cyber attack crippled the canal's operational systems, throwing everything into chaos. Then, adding insult to injury, came the unilateral decision by the U.S. to completely shut down the waterway, exacerbating an already dire situation. The president, in a televised address, voiced grave concern over national sovereignty, emphasizing the need to protect Panama's right to manage its own affairs. Adding to the unease is the sudden and imposing presence of U.S. warships in Panamanian waters, a move that has stirred up complex emotions and historical sensitivities. The economic fallout is immediate and severe, threatening to plunge the nation into a deep recession. Canal revenue, the lifeblood of the Panamanian economy, has essentially vanished overnight, leaving a gaping hole in the national budget. And with the canal at a standstill, thousands upon thousands of jobs are now at risk, casting a long shadow of uncertainty over the future of Panamanian families. Panama's leaders find themselves walking a delicate diplomatic tightrope, navigating treacherous political waters. They must cooperate fully with the U.S. in addressing the crisis, while simultaneously asserting their sovereign authority and protecting Panama's national interests. Tensions are simmering just beneath the surface, fueled by a sense of frustration and resentment over the lack of consultation before the drastic decision to close the canal. On the streets of Panama City, a complex mix of anxiety about the future and fierce national pride is palpable. For generations, Panamanians have viewed the canal as a powerful symbol of their national achievement, a testament to their ingenuity and determination. The attack is not only a devastating economic blow, striking at the heart of the nation's prosperity, but also a profound national insult, a violation of Panama's sovereignty and a challenge to its dignity. There's widespread support for a swift and decisive effort to find the perpetrators of the cyber attack and bring them to justice, but also a growing unease about the prospect of an open-ended U.S. military presence in Panama, a concern rooted in historical experiences. Panama finds itself caught in an unenviable position, trapped between a shadowy digital enemy whose motives remain unclear, and a powerful yet sometimes overbearing ally whose actions have raised questions about its commitment to Panamanian sovereignty. The nation is desperately hoping for a swift, peaceful, and dignified resolution to this crisis, one that respects Panama's rights and restores stability to its economy. The nation's future, its prosperity, and its very identity hang precariously in the balance, dependent on the choices made in the coming days. The canal's closure has triggered a global diplomatic storm. U.S. allies in Europe and Asia express solidarity and offer technical help. China and Russia condemn the U.S. move, calling it an aggressive overreach and demanding UN oversight. International organizations scramble to coordinate a response, exposing gaps in global crisis protocols. Latin American leaders urge respect for Panama's sovereignty and a swift resolution. The world fears this could set a precedent for unilateral military action in the name of economic security. The diplomatic fallout may prove as challenging as the technical repairs. The economic shockwaves are immediate and growing. Hundreds of ships sit idle, incurring massive costs with no end in sight. Shipping companies face a grim choice: wait or reroute thousands of miles around South America or through the congested Suez Canal. Global supply chains are thrown into chaos, with delays and rising costs rippling to every continent. Consumers will soon see higher prices on everything from electronics to food. Perishable goods risk spoiling, and energy shipments are delayed, driving up prices worldwide. The closure acts as a tax on global trade, fueling inflation and threatening economic stability. This is not just inconvenience, it's a fundamental disruption of the world economy. The attack on the Panama Canal exposes a new era of vulnerability. Cyber attacks can now cripple critical infrastructure from thousands of miles away. If Panama is vulnerable, so are the Suez Canal, Strait of Hormuz, and other global choke points. The world must confront the reality that digital security is as vital as physical defense. Attribution is difficult, complicating international response and deterrence. The U.S. Navy's move addresses the physical threat, but the digital aggressor remains at large. Securing global trade now demands unprecedented cooperation and resilience. The world must adapt before the next, possibly more devastating attack. The immediate priority is to secure and reopen the canal, a task that could take weeks or months. Every day closed means mounting economic pain and global pressure. This crisis will force a fundamental rethink of supply chains, shifting from maximum efficiency to maximum security. Companies and countries will diversify routes, build stockpiles, and reconsider global dependencies. The U.S. action sets a controversial precedent for defending shared infrastructure. Will this lead to new international treaties or a more fragmented world? The canal's silence is a stark warning of our interconnected fragility. The challenges of cyber warfare and economic security are now inseparable. The world must choose cooperation over division to navigate these new waters. All eyes are on Panama, not just for trade but for the future of global order.